Ladies and gentlemen, it's your man Andre Roxx, aka Shegun Agwu, the American refugee. And it's been a while since I updated you all on my ongoing court battle against the Pasco County Sheriff's Department in Pasco County, Florida. First of all, I didn't want you guys to forget, or I didn't want you all to think that I forgot about this fight simply because I moved here to Africa. I am still in this civil rights battle. I am still fighting and working this situation, because as long as my people are suffering injustice, I don't care where they're at, I'm going to stand up and defend them. So I didn't want you guys to think, oh, well, you know, maybe he dropped the case or anything like that, because, you know, no, I haven't updated you in a while. No, it's still going on. I'm still in the fight. It's still popping. Now, for those of you that, I know I got a lot of new listeners to my channels, my YouTube and my Facebook. So let me give you just the background so that you know what I'm talking about here. In 2018, I was a passenger in a vehicle driven by my father. That vehicle was pulled over by the Pasco County Sheriff's Department. The sheriff came to my window as a passenger and requested my identification. I instructed the sheriff that as a passenger of a vehicle, I was not required to identify myself to him, and I would not identify myself to him. At that point, he arrested me for resisting arrest. I took the criminal case for resisting arrest, to court. I did not accept a plea bargain. I did not accept any type of deal. I said, let's fight this in court. The judge agreed that passengers are not required to identify themselves to police officers unless they are in the commission of a crime, have committed a crime, or are about to commit a crime, which I already knew. I already knew that was the law. I already knew that was the law. The reason I did this is because, unfortunately, we as blacks in the United States of America are not able to assert the rights that we are supposed to have. Yes, we have certain unalienable rights, you know, that they say in the Declaration of Independence. They claim that we have Fourth Amendment rights. They claim that we have Second Amendment rights. But the problem is, when we assert those rights against a police force or a police officer who does not want to respect those rights, then we are arrested. We are punished. I was arrested for contempt by cop. He did not like what I had to say. The reason that I do these the reason that I did this, ladies and gentlemen, is because the same attitude that will violate a man's right to assert that he does not have to identify himself is the same attitude that when a police officer pulls up to a black man who legally owns a gun under their Second Amendment right, shoots them and kills them in front of their daughter and their wife. It is the same attitude. If they are willing to violate one right, they are willing to violate any right. And this is the attitude that gets somebody killed. I was very polite to these police officers. I was not discourteous, but I asserted my right. And they refused to respect that right. These are the same type of people that will kill people later on. This is why I'm fighting this fight. Because if we can stop them now while they simply arrested somebody on a misdemeanor resisting arrest, then I don't have to look in the newspaper next month, next year, and see that that same officer shot and killed somebody. So let's get to the case at hand. I am suing the Pasco County Sheriff's Office for, among other things, false arrest, wrongful imprisonment, all kinds of things like that we will not get into. Now, the beautiful thing about this is I videotaped the entire incident, as well as 5 body cameras. I believe it's 5. It might be 4. There are 4 or 5 body cameras who have the entire incident on tape. When you have that much video footage, unlike in most cases where the cop can say that the person did whatever the cop could turn around and say, I tried to punch him or something like that. But when you have that much video footage, you can't deny what actually happened. So they were able to, they were not able to make up any lies or anything like that. There's just too much video evidence to validate what happened. So there is literally no dispute between my version of events and the officer's version of events. The dispute is very simple. Was it legal to arrest me based on the fact that I refused to provide identification? Well, the law is very clear on this matter. It is not legal to arrest me based on that. And I knew this before the incident took place. Stufflebeam v. Harris. I'm not actually going to go into all of the precedents because we may have to argue these precedents in court, and I'm not going to give them a heads up on what I plan on arguing. So this court battle has been ongoing, whether it was the criminal side of it or now the civil side of it, has been ongoing since mid-2018. And recently we did a mediation. And recently we had rulings on several motions to dismiss that the Pasco County Sheriffs filed. Let's start with mediation. And unfortunately, I signed an agreement that said that I would not discuss what went on in mediation. Therefore, I cannot tell you exactly how mediation went. Mediation is designed to allow the two parties to have an opportunity to come to an agreement before it is taken to court. Many cases are settled at the mediation stage before they are ever taken to court. What I can say is this. I entered mediation not with the desire to make a tremendous financial gain. That is not what my lawsuit is about. I'm not looking to get rich off of this lawsuit. I'm not looking to, become, I'm balling out of control on Pasco County's dime. Absolutely not. Those things that I had in my mind going into mediation were non-monetary. The things that I went into mediation ready to discuss did not have a monetary value. These were things like training, constitutional training, as well as racial sensitivity training for the police officers. These were things like establishing rules and regulations for police officers in the Pasco County system when they do violate people's rights. These were things like setting up a citizens review board so that citizens would have access to body camera footage at all times, because it was a pain in the ass to try and get the body camera footage, because people think, oh, well, the cops are carrying around cameras. Yeah, it's great, but it's very hard for the average citizen to get a hold of that camera footage. So if you got footage and nobody can get it, it doesn't matter. So these were the things that I walked into there to try to negotiate, because I'm not after getting rich. I'm after ensuring that people don't get killed, people don't get hurt, people don't get falsely arrested and end up in prison by rogue police officers. That's my fight. Let me say that we came out of mediation. See, I can't discuss what happened in mediation, so I can only tell you what I went in there to do and where we're at right now. We came out of mediation without any conclusion. We came out of mediation without a settlement. Now, the fact is in dispute, as I said before, is whether or not they were legally allowed to arrest me. Now, I contend, based on every law that I've read on this issue, that they were not legally allowed to arrest me. Based on the fact that even the judge in my criminal case agreed that they were not legally allowed to arrest me. But they filed a motion to dismiss anyway. They filed several motions to dismiss. And in this motion to dismiss, when the judge responded, he addressed the issue of whether they were legally allowed to arrest me or not. Let me read you what the judge said. And it reiterates this several times. And this is all public record, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's not that big a deal. You guys can go look this up for yourself. My case number is 8:20-CV-01370-TPB-JSS, just to give you the case numbers in case you want to go look it up for yourself and see what's going on. The judge says, and I quote, "Plaintiff," that's me, "alleges a subsection 1983 violation against Deputy Dunn based on his allegedly false arrest. In a motion, Deputy Dunn argues that he is entitled to qualified immunity because there was actual probable cause to arrest plaintiff for resisting without violence. This argument has already been thoroughly addressed by the court in its prior order. As the court explained, Deputy Dunn had a valid basis to require the driver of the vehicle, which was my father, to provide identification and vehicle registration. But he did not have a valid basis to require the plaintiff as a passenger to provide identification absent reasonable suspicion that he had committed, was committing, or was about to commit a criminal offense. Pursuant to existing law on this point, plaintiff had no obligation to talk to or identify himself to Deputy Dunn. Because Deputy Dunn did not have a valid basis to require the plaintiff to provide identification, he could not arrest plaintiff based on his failure or refusal to provide identification." Have you ever had an argument with someone and you're debating a point of fact, and you get proof to prove your side, unshakable, unequivocal proof, and you feel like that should end the argument, and yet the other person, who is now presented with undeniable proof, begins to argue with nonsense. That is what we're dealing with right now. On multiple occasions now. As you can see, the court is even slightly frustrated because they have to continue to address this. On multiple occasions, both in criminal and civil court, the judges have said there was no valid basis to arrest me. I was arrested because the cop was upset that I wasn't doing what he told me to do. Yet, their side continues to argue with nonsense. I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's at this point comical to me. I'm laughing at them right now because a judge is telling them, your argument it's not valid. It's ridiculous. But they are going to continue to fight. And when you continue to fight, it'd be like me trying to fight to argue that the sky is purple. You simply make yourself look like an idiot. I lack respect for any man who can't admit when they're wrong. Let's say for a moment that they really believed that they could arrest me for resisting arrest because I wouldn't provide my ID. Okay, let's say that they honestly believe that. Now they have been presented with legal evidence that they cannot. Any real man is going to say, oh, you know what? I made a mistake. Only children try to stand by their mistake and try to fight it. That's childish. Real men, we admit our mistakes and we deal with the consequences of our mistakes and we move on. That's manhood. Childhood. My 10-year-old. He tries to continue to argue and debate when he's already been proven wrong. Because a real man has enough of a check on his ego that it doesn't make me less of a man to be wrong. Right now what's going on is you have a black guy, a rapper. This guy doesn't have a legal degree, nothing. He's just a rapper and some radio host who told you that the law was not what you believed it was. He told you that you didn't have the authority that you believed you had. And he was right. But at this point, your ego will not allow you to admit that he was right. But you see, your ego is not more important than the lives and the safety of my people. So we will continue to battle your ego versus the desire I have to protect my people. Let's see who wins.